One of the benefits of TV3 not having an AM show anymore is they have to put everything into their 6 o'clock news bulletin. I'm actually not taking the piss. I'm like, they don't have space to float things out into other parts of their network. Watch TVNZ News tonight, and this alcohol laws to be loosened story got less than 60 seconds on TVNZ, and they went, check out for breakfast tomorrow morning, we'll have this interview. So they were able to farm it off because they've got other things going on. 3 can't do that, and 3 can't do that because they don't have an AM show to farm it off to. So we've got a full 4-minute story here about these alcohol laws. Now, I'm getting a little bit sick and tired of the ACT Party using reasoning to either bring in legislation or not that is ridiculous when you apply it to any other legislation. We heard Nicola McKee yesterday, excuse me. Sorry, that was my call coming up. Nicola McKee yesterday saying the reason that the Act doesn't support the under 16s having restrictions on social media is how are we going to enforce it? I mean, what's the point in having a law if we don't know how to enforce it? Yeah, you can do your own maths in your own head, whānau, all of those laws at the moment that are basically impossible to enforce that are still on the books. Well, it happens again with this story. Nicole McKee is basically saying most New Zealanders are good with alcohol. They don't abuse it. I agree. Most don't. Most New Zealanders don't use firearms to shoot and kill people, so maybe we should take away firearms licensing. Like this excuse of because most people don't do it, that's fine. We'll make alcohol easier to get, have more of a presence in society, and harder for people to object to. This is the story. Again, if we follow that principle through other legislations, we would have a very, very, very different country.
The government has signed off on loosening alcohol restrictions. Associate Justice Minister Nicole McKee announced the proposed changes to the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act, saying they would make life fairer for responsible drinkers.
Okay, so let's change that. Let's make life fairer for responsible drivers. We can just turn every motorway into an autobahn. Let's make life fairer for responsible drivers. Let's make life fairer for responsible bike riders and get rid of helmets. So whatever. Let's make life fairer for responsible cannabis users. It's like, I'm not saying every legislation and law needs to be in carbon copy, because I'm sure if I said that, we'd find gaps. But in general, they're using these reasonings and these excuses. They're bullshit. They're just ways that they can drive through their fewer regulations, more access to harmful ideas, or more access to harmful products, more access to harmful products that, funnily enough, have big, massive lobby groups that potentially might cut them a check. I'm looking at you, tobacco lobby.
The changes include giving alcohol licence holders a right of reply to those who object. And applications to oppose alcohol licences will be restricted to local communities, pushing...
Now, this is a law that was changed under Labor. I'd like to do some more looking into this because it used to be no lobby groups, and then I think in 2021 it got changed that lobby groups could do it, and now it's going back to no lobby groups. Now, I stop and I think, if they're going to stop lobby groups from being able to oppose things like a liquor store coming up in a community or being 40 metres from a school or whatever it is, then what about other lobby groups that want to oppose other things? I'm looking at you, Free Speech Union. I'm looking at you, Family First. Is this government also going to change laws to stop those guys putting in objections to legislation coming in as well? Because if you don't, I smell hypocrisy.
Our lobby group campaigns. The Minister will also be given the power to declare extended hours to sell alcohol for special events such as the Rugby World Cup. But alcohol safety campaigners say loosening restrictions is a big mistake. Political correspondent Zhang Small has more.
Aucklanders soaking up a bit of afternoon sun at the viaduct, enjoying a meal and a drink at hospitality businesses that have a liquor licence.
We're not all bad,
Of which nothing will change. For this legislation won't impact any of these businesses. So why are we getting their input? Unless, of course, they want to open up a chain of them or more of them around the country with places that currently there are restrictions on. This is not something that's going to help already established places. This is about new places. So why are we hearing from the people who are already established? As I said, unless they want to be able to open up more locations with less regulations.
Jamie Freeman from the Lula Inn is celebrating a proposed law change announced today that would restrict who could object to businesses obtaining or renewing a liquor licence to those who are in the local community.
It's going to help us, I believe.
It would reverse a law change in 2023 under Labour that allowed anyone to object to liquor licence applications and removed the ability to appeal.
My focus has been on making sure that there was a fairness for businesses, that they could have a right of reply to objections. And I don't think the changes that I've made there is going to impact alcohol harm.
I mean, the idea about having a reply to the businesses, I mean, I guess, and if you've got a fair system, you can see there's something, as always, the devil in the detail. But it is interesting that Nicole McKee from ACT is like, her focus is on making it fair for who? The children? The people who drink? No, but she said it, fairer for businesses. So that's who they're fighting for. They're fighting for business. And Free Soul made a very good comment. I bet Women's Refuge are thrilled. We're making it fairer for households where abuse is going on due to alcohol. No. We're going to focus on the businesses. We're going to make it fairer for businesses.
Impact alcohol harm.
Pretty disappointed about the trajectory of change. We know communities are passionate, and for the right reasons. Alcohol is New Zealand's most harmful drug, and communities feel that.
Auckland has been under stricter alcohol rules for 8 months now, but that's under local changes introduced by the council to try and combat alcohol-related harm. It means that bottle shops and supermarkets cannot sell alcohol after 9 p.m. It used to be 11 p.m. There are signs that New Zealand's drinking culture is changing. The latest National Health Survey...
Maybe it's got something to do with the new laws, if it's changing. Maybe it's got something to do with the new restrictions, if it's changing. Maybe it's one of the contributing factors. And then this government's winding back the clock.
Found the rate of hazardous drinking was 16.6% of adults in 2024. But that was down from 20.4% in 2019.
So in 2023, if these changes were put in place and now you can't get alcohol in a bottle store after 9 p.m. rather than 11 p.m., maybe those are the changes that have contributed to that change. Yeah, this government wants to give more freedoms to the businesses.
Decrease in hazardous drinking over the past 5 years was among young people aged 18 to 24.
Most New Zealanders drink responsibly, and statistics tell us that alcohol consumption and the way we drink is changing. We are seeing a shift towards low and non-alcoholic beverages.
But alcohol-related harm is estimated to cost $9 billion a year due to cancer, hospitalisations and ACC claims. One way the government says it's going to tighten access is around home delivery of alcohol through services such as Uber Eats.
It will be incumbent upon them to ensure that they do not serve or deliver to those that are already well intoxicated and those that are underage.
This is one part of the announcement that we think is good.
He's adamant, though, that limiting the ability to oppose liquor licences is the wrong move.
We did some analysis on objections just in the Auckland region, over 500 applications we looked at, and not one there was a vexatious or a frivolous objection. So I don't think that there's been a huge amount of interference.
Jamie Freeman sees it differently.
The likes of alcohol harm sort of groups that push on that, who are out of the area, don't even know the area. That's really hard to earn.
It's an interesting thing to ponder, though, isn't it? If they're an alcohol harm group but they live 3 suburbs over, how is their position any different on the alcohol harm? You know what I mean? It's not like it's about a trees being cut down. Well, you could look at the the ecology of it, but it's not like about are we going to change the colour of the footpath in this suburb and really only the people who are in that suburb in that footpath. But alcohol harm is alcohol harm. I doubt that alcohol harm differs between suburbs or cities. I mean, the content of it may differ, but the actual way alcohol harms people. So an alcohol harm lobby group in a different part of the city or country, making a submission or an objection to something that's happening based on this will cause more harm, why should that be invalid? I mean, this gentleman saying that they're not even in the neighbourhood. Why should that be invalid? Why is that wrong to hear an alcohol harm group who has a COPUP or a concern around alcohol harm share what alcohol could do to harm people should, idea X move forward?
Differently.
The likes of alcohol harm sort of groups that push on that, who are out of the area, don't even know the area. That's really hard, and we sort of saw an increase in objections, and it's all been driven by that.
Luckily for him, the government agrees that limitations and regulations on businesses are overflowing and the taps being turned off.
Okay, so Zane, how are
Sorry, I just have to acknowledge the pun and go, no.
delivery drivers going to withhold alcohol from someone who's perhaps run out of booze late at night?
Yeah, well, it's certainly a lot to put on those delivery drivers who could be delivering to home.
Sorry, it's not going to happen. It's not worth it. It's the 22-year-old. In Dunedin, a lot of the Uber drivers here that I've had deliveries from, maybe even majority would be foreign nationals. New Zealand and English is their second language. They're not going to get into a confrontation with a flat full of 18-year-olds who have just ordered a keg or a blocker or a slab or whatever the kids call it these days. They're going to deliver it, leave it outside the doorstep or whatever they do, and drive away. Do you really think that someone who gets paid small amounts of money to deliver food and drink around the city is then going to turn themselves into a police officer and go, whoop, no, sorry, I'm not giving you your alcohol? This is nonsense. It might be an idea, but it's nonsense. Practicality
Homes where the occupant is an alcoholic. So you'd hope that the companies would have the appropriate training in place for their staff to deal with that.
The Uber Eats is going to have training in place for their staff to deal with an alcoholic. Uber Eats is going to train their drivers how to deal with alcoholics. Come on. I don't want to give you too much grief, young man reporter, but let's just be real. This is not the world we live in.
The minister essentially said that it is up to those companies to deal with it. But the government is also looking to introduce digital IDs in the future, and she said those would be...
Come on, my conspiracy theories from the front lawn of Parliament 2021. Digital IDs are on the way. Where are you? Let me hear your voices.
Given to those companies eventually, so that that could help them with the age verification issue. Another part of the announcement today was that the government will allow hairdressers and barbers to supply a small amount of alcohol to their customers without the company needing to get that liquor licence. And the minister said that would be something like a beer or a wine.
Zane Small, thanks so much.
It's good when a government does policy and they say, something like, what's the speed limit? It's something like 55. Something like. Yeah, anyway, look, I can just see this is a bizarre one. And I've always had this policy that if I can understand why you believe what you believe, I can go, okay, I get it. We disagree, but I get it. So if I can see why a government would do a policy and I kind of go, yeah, it's not my cup of tea, but I can see it. There's a part of me which will kind of go, yeah, we need to get rid of these guys to get this out, but you can see their connection. This is one of the ones where you go, there's no rationale. There's no rationale not to let lobby groups speak into this. If you're allowing lobby groups to speak into other legislation and make submissions other places. Now, if you did it all, I'd go, I don't have a problem with lobby groups, but you're consistent. I see it. And also just, as people have been saying in the chat now, is it because it's more readily available and more widely used that it causes more harm? But at the moment, alcohol is the most dangerous drug in New Zealand. Alcohol causes more harm in New Zealand than any other drug. And the government's making it more accessible. The government's making it harder to object to. And the government is, as Nicole McKee's saying, doing what's fair for business.